Carmine Bianco and Mr. Don and Buster with us here today. Guys, I want to just quickly say thank you to everybody that filled in last week while I was away. Say it is great to be back here. And huge thank you to Andy Lang for having my back on Friday and filling in and taking care of business on that show. But Carm, it's great to see you as always, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you. Welcome back, Andrew, and a big thank you to Andy on Friday. The guy's a class act. I was supposed to be on Friday's show. I was supposed to be on Prop It Up, taking over for Andrew, and unfortunately, I posted about it. Our pet passed away on Friday morning, shortly before the show, which made it absolutely tough for us. It's when someone when it's part of your daily life. For me, 10 years. For my wife, 24 and a half years. You lose something that's part of your daily life. It is very tough to recover from it. You know, you're going to go through the stages. Obviously, anger, grief. Takes a long while before you get to acceptance, and we're like nowhere near that right now. Very tough for me, but I got a lot of messages and words of support from you guys and my friends on Twitter. I don't spend a lot of time on there, but I really appreciate everyone. I posted a quick little message that I wasn't on Friday's show and why, and a lot of people reached out, and I really appreciate that. So it is. It's going to be a little rough for the next little while. So I'm going to go through some stages, and you're likely going to see it on this show. But I need this show. I need to do PuckTime shows. I need to do any show because it, even for a brief moment, it changes what you're thinking about, and gives you a little bit of an escape from reality. But with that said, Andrew, I just want to get back to talking hockey today. Only a couple games, but I'm going to throw it back to you for Vegas and the St. Louis Blues.
Carm, we always have your back, man. Always here for you. Buster, let's jump into our first game today. The St. Louis Blues hosting the Vegas Golden Knights. They're plus 125 home underdogs. As I open up with here, Buster, playing some pretty good hockey right now. Between them, the Nashville Predators, some of these teams, you know, on the fringe of that Western Conference spot, playing some pretty good hockey. But I'll say this Vegas team, you know, they're not really in a position of comfort either. They're trying to get better each game, find their consistency as they approach the postseason. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, Andrew, we only have 2 games tonight. Good games, if you ask me. Both of these games, of course, have playoff implications. These 2 clubs are only separated by 4 points, with Vegas having a game in hand. So during the season, they played in December. They split both those games. Both teams, as you have already mentioned, Andrew, St. Louis comes here winning 6 of the last 7. Well, Vegas have been playing some pretty good hockey themselves. They've won 5 of their last 7. I see Vegas laying 145 on the road. And, you know, the way St. Louis has been playing, I do like Vegas here. I do believe they might be the better team here. But, geez, that price just on the road in an important game, it's going to be a very, very tight game if you ask me tonight. And in saying that, I'm going to pass on a side here. But because I believe it's going to be a tight game, especially anytime you have, I think it's going to be Binnington, and if Hofer plays in that, guess what? That's St. Louis. Their goaltending have been fantastic. They're the reason why they're even have a shot at the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But what I do like, the total 6. Kind of like that under. You know, this has the makings of like a 3-2, 2-1 playoff type game, if you ask me. We know Thompson's already been confirmed for Vegas. During this season, those 2 games, the one game went over. It was a 6-3 game. The other game went under. It was a 2-1. I believe it went into overtime type game. Again, as far as I know, I personally do not do this, but with the 2 games with playoff implications, the guys that go out, and I'm sure this is going to be very, very popular tonight for sure, will be playing both games for a draw. You figure maybe one of these games will draw, And I don't do the parlays. I know you guys talk about pizza money and stuff like that all the time here. Maybe do that. I don't do parlays. I don't do teasers and all those things that made Vegas. But I can see betting if you do draws. I can see betting a draw in both of these games, and you hit one, you're going to make money on the night. So, but as far as picking a side here, I want no part of it. But what I will play is the under 6.
All right, Buster looking towards the total in this one, and certainly a meeting that will mean a lot to both these teams, and they're playing some great hockey right now here, Carm. A lot of times during the year, we reference that big run the Blues went on many years ago here, and maybe it's not the same story, of course, but they're certainly picking things up here, Carm, and this is a Blues team we're seeing right now. We did not see a few months back. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, Andrew, I think the tough thing here, and listen, I get Buster's, and there's 2 points. So I get Buster's liking the underplay. If you base it on what happened in their 2 previous meetings, and even if you looked at the XG numbers of those, you would say to yourself, "There's no way I'm going to play the under in this game. I want the over." And by that I mean you look at. They played 3 days apart, those games. They played on the 6th, the 4th and the 6th of December. On the 4th, the final score line was 2-1. There were 61 shots on goal, which is actually the shot total for this game. 61.5 is the shot total for this game, the over-under. The XG numbers in that game, 4.91 to 2.48. So 7.39 7.39 xg. 2 days later they play on the 6th, 6-3 final. There are 78 shots on goal. The xg number is 7.49 to 2.21, 9.7 goals of xg, and there was 9 goals scored in that game. So you say to yourself, how do I take the under? Because what happened in December is not what normally happens during a playoff race, which we're in smack dab in the middle of. This is a 4-point game for the Vegas Golden Knights and for St. Louis. And I get it. This line seems out of whack, minus 145 for Vegas, but the books aren't making mistakes. We talk about it all the time. The books are making Vegas what they should be. And this is a Vegas team that doesn't normally play or doesn't have a winning record on the road, but they seem to find a way to win the big games that matter most. And this is a big game that matters for them. You look at that last road trip that they win on, and they lose in Ottawa, and then the very next night or 2 days later they go into Toronto and spank the Leafs 6-2. Kind of a retribution for that 7-0 or whatever loss it was, 7-3 loss, 7-2 loss at home to Leafs just a week earlier. But Vegas seems to find a way to get it back. Pietrangelo is still questionable for tonight's game, illness. But I read reports that he traveled with the team, so I think he traveled with the team, so I'm assuming he's going to be there. I will check that prior to the next game. But this is one where I think you have to lay the $1.45 here with Vegas. I think this is their way of widening the gap on this St. Louis team, because they are in this Vegas team. They are smack dab in the middle of a playoff race that they don't want to be in, and it's a wild card race. I think they show up tonight. I prefer Logan Thompson in goal, and I'll explain why at the end of the show as part of my best bet, which where I'm going with. But Adin Hill struggled. Until they can figure out what is wrong with Adin Hill, Logan is the guy. So I'm going to lay the 145 with the Vegas Golden Knights tonight.
All right, looking towards the Vegas Golden Knights. And, it's so funny, Carm, because over the last few years, we've seen several goalies make a huge impact on the Golden Knights, whether it was Marc-Andre Fleury, Adin Hill, Laurent Brossoit, Logan Thompson. It seems like they've really proven to everybody that, depth in goaltending does matter, but there also can be kind of a next man up mentality. We've certainly seen that with the Vegas Golden Knights. There always seems to be one hot goaltender in the rotation. Of course, Buster mentioned Jordan Binnington for the St. Louis Blues. And I get all the points raised there towards the under, and I don't like being against anybody here on the show, but I do have a small play here on the over 6. I just look at this Blues team, the way they're playing right now. March 9th was the last time they scored fewer than 3 goals. They're scoring goals on everybody, whether it be Colorado or Anaheim, whether it be a good team or a bad team. This Blues team is scoring goals. So I understand a good thing about them right now is their defense and their goaltending. I just like the way they're scoring goals consistently. We haven't seen any letdown spots, flat spots. They have just been showing up every single day and scoring goals. And this Vegas Golden Knights team, we can't forget about that East Coast road trip they had a few weeks ago where they allowed 6 or 7 to Toronto. They allowed 6 to Buffalo. This team is still, I don't think, trustworthy defensively. I can trust them offensively. I know what Jack Eichel and Marchessault are going to do with this team offensively, but I get the mindset of this tight spot. Teams that, are in this position right now trying to solidify themselves in the playoffs. Usually I do look for a tight game, but right now with how these teams are playing, this one should be exciting. And also, if we do see some physicality, which will result in some penalties leading to power plays, I do like both these power plays the way they stand right now. And I think that, they haven't even been too explosive. And if they do get going, it only helps their scoring that much more. So small lean for me on the over, but I will have a player prop in the best bet segment for everybody at the end of the show, as well as the buy and sell segment, as I did not mention that, but I'm back with the buy and sell. And guys, as the season ends or it comes to an end here, this is when the buy and sell segment can become really profitable. We can try and make some money looking at teams to bet on and teams to bet against. As Buster mentioned, just 2 games here today. We'll keep the show on the road, unless, Carm, you had an update you wanted to mention. But we'll go to the Kings and Canucks. Canucks here, minus 130 at home. We've got the plus 110 underdog visiting LA Kings, total at 5.5. And Carm, I'm not sure if you're interested in side or total in this one, but I know a lot of times we always said, 5.5 is such an easy number to get over. It's a low number. It's the lowest one we've seen. And earlier in the season, we've got Ralph to pull some numbers for us. And these 5.5s, we were seeing a lot of overs. But I don't know about you. I've been noticing a lot of 5.5s. It's kind of like what Prez always talks about that he does with football. These low totals have been low for a reason. I've been noticing these 5.5s go under. Have you noticed the same thing at all?
I haven't really been looking at it just because I've been focusing more over the past month on sides. I've rarely put out some totals. I think you could probably count them on one hand, maybe 2, and it's worked successfully. It's been a good run, although I'm disappointed, obviously, with yesterday's play that I had. But 17-3 last 20 NHL plays, and not many of them were totals there, Andrew. This is one. Listen, if you like the over, if you like the under, you have to base it on the LA Kings and the way the Kings are playing. I put out a free play on the Kings against Tampa Bay, and I just explained I thought it was a bad spot for Tampa, good spot for the Kings, and the Kings are playing well defensively. They're the type of team that could probably shut down Tampa, and they did until they couldn't. And Tampa tied it up, sent it to OT, but thankfully the Kings ended up winning. Andrew, I look at this game and 2 things come to mind with this one. We're getting plus money on the LA Kings, and I get it. Vancouver's has had a great season, but this stretch without Demko, which they've been able to survive for the most part, they had 2 or 3 days off in between each game that Casey DeSmith played. The opposition that they played against, not the greatest, a little favorable for them as well too. Now they get a Kings team that are coming in who themselves are in this playoff race, a team that has something to play for, a team that's playing very well defensively, but also is finding some goals. They're finding some goals. They found 6 against Minnesota. They found 4 against Tampa Bay, and Tampa had been rolling some teams of late. And that is a good win for them. And now they go up to Vancouver in another game, and I think it's going to be a little tougher for Vancouver to take this one. And I think that's why they're offering you this price of 130. It just seems too good to be true. I wish it was higher, And the only reason I wish it was higher is because I want the LA Kings, and I'm taking the LA Kings. I have yet to release any plays today. I'm not sure if I'm going to, and if I do, they're the ones I mentioned on today's game, which is the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm going to take the LA Kings plus 110. So if you see I have a package up there, don't even bother buying it because it'll be these two teams unless you see a player prop written in there. But I don't think I'm going to have one. These are the two games I like, and this is the way I'm going to take them. I'm taking both road teams today. I'm taking the LA Kings plus 110. I'm looking for them to build off of what they've done over the last little while, and maybe with the Vancouver schedule getting a slightly tougher than it has been over the last 8 to 10 days, they maybe they start to regress a little bit. I hate to try and put the regression name tag on a team, but Vancouver's played so well for so long, and this is a big one for the LA Kings as well too. So I'm taking the Kings plus 110 tonight. Buster, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you know what, Carmine, this reminds me just of basically of the first game. Really tight game between a couple of really good teams that have been playing solid hockey for weeks now. LA's won 5 of their last 7, Vancouver 7 of their last 9. And both in these playoff hunts here, well, not hunts, Vancouver's going to make the playoffs, and LA's right up there as well. Vancouver's in first place, actually, in the West right now, 1 point ahead of Colorado and Dallas. LA are 6 points ahead of St. Louis and 2 points ahead of Vegas. So it's another really important game for both these clubs here. And actually, they've played a couple times this year. Each team won on the road. So that's a little interesting. And, but for me, it's just another real tough side to pick. So when it's that kind of way, I'm not going to pick a side. As for the total here, it is at 5.5. Now, if you go back, the last 10 games between these clubs have went 9-1 to the under. And that one was one time this year, but that actually ended up pushing. It was a 6. And if you do like the over here, as of over 5.5, you are getting line value. Both those first 2 games were lined at 6. And this one's only 5.5, I think over 15. So I don't think it's not going to 6. So, but I actually came on here maybe 2 weeks ago, and Andrew is right. This last week, the 5.5s have been tending to go under. Before that, for a good month, they were mostly going over. But like I said, I came on here a few weeks ago and then said, until the playoffs start, because you don't know, actually, I think we talked about how Minnesota's pulled their goalie that time just to try to win. A lot of these teams trying to get points in these playoffs are going to do a lot of crazy stuff. And when you have a 5.5, as we said, totals can go, it could be 3-1 with 2 minutes. Next thing you know, it's 4-2. So for me, I do like this under, but I will, there's no way I am going to bet a 5.5 under until the playoffs. If I can't bet it over, I don't bet it. So what are we going to do here? Well, I actually because I do like it under, I'm going to go with the first period under 1.5. It's 110. I think that's a good play. The 2 games that they've played, both games were 1-0 LA after the first period. I think this is another tight playoff type game. And again, as far as sides goes, we could have a couple draws here. So who knows what's going on? But for me, I just will not sit through a side and sweat through a side on either of these games. In this game here, I think the best play for me and for everyone out here watching will be the under 1.5 in the first period.
And Andrew, sorry.
Sorry.
I hijacked Andrew in our Slack because I said to him I was going to jump in, but I want to hear your thoughts on this game, Andrew. So give me your thoughts, and then I will comment on Buster. Go ahead.
Of course.
Good to be back, boys. Good to be back. Look, I think that to me, like the LA Kings overall, our team, I always thought was going to be a great home team because the center depth that they had, right? Getting that last change, getting to get the matchups you have, winning those ozone faceoffs. But they've proven to be a good road team all season long here, fellas. They've been a team that I've trusted on the road almost more than at home. And you look at this team right now, I think they come in this game a little bit more hungry than we see this Vancouver team. And I understand, without Demko, with DeSmith having to be the guy, but there's something to me about the whole classic, spot when you're playing a tough team, a divisional opponent, after playing, as Carm would say, a few free spaces on the bingo card. And that's Vancouver right now. They played a Calgary team that we've been betting against quite a bit that's been just abysmal defensively. They played the Montreal Canadiens, and they played the Buffalo Sabres. So to me, this is a Vancouver Canucks team that might be a little bit satisfied here in this one at home, whereas we get a visiting LA Kings team that I think will be really hungry. They're trying to put some wins together, string some good defensive efforts together, so I would lean towards the under. But I'm going to take the dog price here. I like this underdog spot. I like the price here. The LA Kings are the bet for me in this one here, Carm.
All right, I like it. Let's join me on the LA Kings. Listen, Andrew, Sinbin on Sinbin Vegas on Twitter, the X, whatever they call it now, Elon's site, says that Pietrangelo was likely not going to go with the team on this road trip, which means the earliest he would play because of this ongoing illness, which all we know is it's an illness, is it's not an injury, it's an illness, is the 2nd of April. So that's where we're at right now. But they've done well without him. And I'll mention, we'll talk about that at the end of the show. And Buster, no, I wasn't going to disagree with you on stuff. I think a lot of the guys in the chat even agree, like 5.5s are tough in taking unders this late in the season. And it's just because, unless it's a 4-1 scoreline and the team losing has nothing to play for, they're not pulling their goalie. Tampa Bay would pull their goalie with 4-1, but they're in a playoff spot and they're vying for more points. It's always tough to take an under 5.5. The 6 was the opener and it was gone quickly. So if you missed it, there's alt lines you can take. And you only take the alt lines if you're going to put something with it, because taking under 6.5, you're end up paying like 180 or 190 or even more juice. I'm probably underestimating the juice. But with that said, I wouldn't buy it. But Andrew, this is the buy is pretty much a good time to go to you for the buy and sell. This might be one of your final buy and sells of the NHL season, this or next week. So give us a couple good teams to make some money off of.
We're certainly coming down to it here, Carm. It's hard to believe the season is winding down. The buy and sell every single week, it gets tighter and tighter. Before I jump into the buy and sells, really quick, just want to mention a great deal I have going at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/AM. NHL hockey, the rest of my NHL regular season plus playoffs, and I'm tacking on my first half of the MLB season at a great price of $4.99. You're pretty much getting first half of the MLB season, for that price alone, and I'm throwing in the NHL. I was number 2 in totals last year in the MLB, had a great run in the playoffs in the NHL. So guys, take advantage of this deal. MLB is here, so we can get NHL and MLB bets every single day. All right, let's start with the buy team. We are going to bet on the Winnipeg Jets. A lot of you guys know I'm high on this team. I really do like how they're built, how they're structured, but they have dropped a few games recently. And I love the structure of this team, the leadership of this team. A perfect mixture of youth and veterans on this team. Great coach with Rick Bowness. And, a lot of times during the year, when I looked at the buy and sell segment, I was trying to find teams that had light schedules. They had great matchups, and they could go ahead and absolutely just dominate a bad team. The problem is you're dealing with lots of bad prices in that spot. Here's the deal here, guys. Winnipeg Jets have the Edmonton Oilers on deck, the Vegas Golden Knights, the LA Kings. They do not have some light opponents on deck, but I think this is what they need. They're off a couple losses, not playing their best hockey. I like the prices we're going to get over the next couple games here with this Winnipeg team, trying to solidify themselves a great spot within their division to end up on top. The Winnipeg Jets, certainly a buy team for me moving forward over the next week and a half. And we're going to look at a sell team, and I feel like I've mentioned this team a few times, as well as the Canadians, the Capitals, the Devils. We are going to sell the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres had a great week, a great 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks of hockey that they played, giving people just a chance, a hope they could make the playoffs. But they've seemed to fall off a little bit. And a lot of the reason they're playing so well was because of their goaltending. And they got some guys stepping up. But right now, it's been really tough for them to put together some consistent efforts. They have the Senators, Devils, Maple Leafs, Capitals, Flyers, and Red Wings moving forward. I believe in some of these games, especially with the Red Wings, Senators, Devils, we are going to get some great prices to bet against this Buffalo Sabres team, and that's what we're looking for. We understand the Maple Leafs are going to be big favorites against them, but you're going to get a good price on the Red Wings, a good price on the Ottawa Senators, and that's what I want to do here in the sell segment. Those are my two teams here, guys. Carm?
Oh, Andrew, like, wow, you came back from Punta Cana and you must have picked up some big nuts or whatever at the duty free, because that's some good strategy there, Cotton, as they would say. But listen, I get it. I don't know what happened to the Winnipeg Jets the last few games on the road. They were just non-compete. It was unbelievable what happened to this team on the road. They played the one game. I bet against them when I released the New Jersey Devils against them at home. I thought it was a good spot. But then they had a game in which they had 4 shots almost halfway through the game. 3 shots in the first, 1 shot in the second. And I'm like, 8 minutes into the second period, I'm like, what is wrong with this Winnipeg team? It's something we don't see from them. And again, it is teams that play so well, Andrew, you know it, throughout the whole season are going to have spurts where they lose games and they lose 2, 3, 4 in a row. They don't lose 7 in a row, like the Sabres, who are part of your cell. And that's why the Sabres aren't really vying for a playoff spot. They're just they're doing just enough to keep fans in the seats or hopes alive. But I get both plays. I truly do. The Sabres are on a 5-game homestand and have really played better on the road of late than they have at home. So we are going to get some good prices because they are at home. So to bet against them. But I like both of them. I need to see something out of Winnipeg in that first game, and they play the Edmonton Oilers, who yesterday, Andrew, I had a 5 on them. Their XG number was 3.67, 3.69 to 2.47. They lose the game 5-3. They win the XG battle. No sports book cashes a bet based on XG, unfortunately. But we will see what happens. We had 2 amazing races in each conference. Everything is coming down to the final week of the NHL season. It's going to be a fantastic NHL last few weeks for everyone, guys. You guys are going to love it. There's going to be some crazy ass games going on. Good luck with your buy and sell, Andrew, even though you faded the second space on the bingo card, the Buffalo Sabres.
Carmine, I had the same 5% as you, actually. I was sweating it out. I saw you had one. I checked your page, and I was like, wow, we are on the same one. I couldn't believe it, man. Dominance from start to finish, and yet they lose that game. It just, I don't know what to say. But that's a tough one. Buster, I hope you had a good weekend, man.
Well, I had a good weekend, but yesterday was rough as well.
I'm going to jump in real quick, Buster. Hold on a second, Buster. Let me just jump in real quick. You'll get your words in. One last thought, just because, and Dan, our producer, always says, no one cares about yesterday. Let's talk about today and tomorrow. And I expect him to say that you're right, Carm, in my ear. But I just want to say, it was a lack of finish in that game. If you watch the game, they just couldn't finish that third or fourth or fifth fancy pass that they needed to do in the power play. They just couldn't score. And sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. It's just frustrating. And power play goals allowed against. It was frustrating to no end, but you get back on that horse and you ride it. And with that said, Buster, you are heading to Vegas. I hope this was a good weekend for you, that you can springboard into a profitable trip to Vegas.
Yeah, the NHL was very good. About middle of the road with my college basketball. Had a really rough game yesterday. Was had a game out. Wasn't even into the game at all. I'd had a perfect season with my 5%ers, but obviously, like you two guys, I end up losing that yesterday. But yeah, the other 6 days of the week were pretty good. So I'll take 6 out of 7 days of the week every day. So, but I will make a quick comment about that Edmonton game as well. This is what to expect. You're going to expect this. I'm shocked that I see Edmonton's like second choice to win the Stanley Cup. Not sure who's making those odds, to tell you the truth, because there's no way to win this cup. There's no way. What you see yesterday, that's what you get. And Toronto is kind of in the same boat. Lots of talent, no finishers, and suspect defense and suspect goaltending. But what did Ottawa have? Like 15 shots, and he allowed 5 goals. So, anyways, that's my little comment on that, Carmine. Not sure if you want to go into the best bets, guys. Is that what or the show?
Go for it. Let's do it.
Tonight with the small card, we have a player prop package up at the site. We're hitting. We've gotten 12-4 our last 16 player props. So you can use still this week, probably just maybe for today. Then they'll probably have a new promo code for the rest of the week. But use promo code Buster7, and you can get $30 off a 7-day all access pass. So that's Buster7. Our show play is going to be a player prop as well, as I had already commented on what I like with the 2 games that are going today on the show already. Last week we had a player prop and we hit with Matt Duchene, so might as well try to keep these player props running. Maybe I'll do that as long as I keep hitting them. And tonight's player prop is going to be Elias Lindholm over 1.5 shots, minus 125. Lindholm plays on the number 2 power play. He's hit 63% so far this season. He's on a 2-game winning streak with this over 1.5 shots. And I think he might go on a little run. He did, believe it or not, have an 18-game over 1.5 shot streak this year already. So let's see if he goes on a little run. We'll take Elias Lindholm over 1.5 shots on goal for your show play for today. A short slate tonight. Best of luck in all your plays, guys, and have a great day.
Buster, have a great day. Safe travels to you, brother. Keep things going in the NHL. Happy to see you doing props, and it seems like all 3 of us have props for the show for today. Carm, what do you have for us for your prop? It's one we haven't really talked about too much this year.
Yeah, so no, we haven't really talked about them, but I'm going to reference a couple of stats in this one. So we're going to the Vegas Golden Knights St. Louis game. And as I told you, the game total for this game is at 61.5. St. Louis's shots on goal for this game currently sits at 28.5. Vegas has a higher shot number. We talked about Vegas, and yes, you can say they haven't looked good of late, but you look at their last 4 games on that 4-game homestand that they had. And even with Pietrangelo out of the lineup against the Devils, the Lightning, the Kraken, and Columbus, they played some very good defense in those games. They allowed 21, 21, 22, and 22. So an average of 21.5 shots on goal. That's unheard of in the NHL, where normally a team, even the lowest of teams, are allowing about 27 shots on goal. They allowed 21.5 average over 4 games. Can they carry that onto the road against the St. Louis Blues? Well, the Blues, you look at the Blues, and these are their shot totals over the last 4 games as well too. 27, 27, 33, and 27. They're playing a tighter defensive game, and it has to do with these are playoff races now that they're coming down to. The Logan Thompson shots on goal prop, which you should find soon up on DK, should be about 27 and a half, anywhere from 26 to 27 and a half. It's going to be somewhere around there. I say you take the under in the shot props for this one. 27 and a half is too much. I don't think Vegas are going to allow a ton of shots in this game. And just the way they've been playing the last 4 games, I have to think it's going to carry over. They win the important ones on the road, and this is an important one. So if you like Vegas and you think they're going to play a defensive game, this shot prop is a good one. DK should have it shortly. I just refreshed the screen. It is not up as of yet, but he is confirmed. So it should be up before noon in the next 20 minutes or so. I'm going to take under save prop for Logan Thompson. And this one as your free play. No card up for me today at all. I mentioned the 2 games that I like, the LA Kings, the Vegas Golden Knights. If I do put them up as client plays, they won't be for sale, but those are the plays that I do like today in these 2 games. So one of the 2 likely will make the card. Both of them could, but no sense in buying them if you see anything up for sale. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Back to you, Andrew.
Great stuff, Carm. Love the goalie prop because you could take an under and that guy could still have a great game and that team could win, or the over and that guy could have a great game and the team could win. Just all differs depending on the matchup there. Great to be back here with both of you, Carm and Buster. And thanks again for everybody last week helping out and filling in for me. It was a great time to get away. And as you guys know, happy wife, happy life. Not my wife yet, but pretty much. So got to get away and have some fun every now and then. Guys, that special I mentioned earlier on in the show, I've got NHL and MLB teamed up into one package, $4.99. You can get the rest of my NHL plus the playoffs and all of my MLB plays, plus 30 units over, nearly 32 units on total plays last year. Number 2, number 6 overall in the MLB, and trying to push for a big rest of the NHL season. That's $4.99, guys. First half of the MLB plus the rest of the NHL. My best bet for the show today, continuing with the props, we're going to go with Jordan Kyrou from the St. Louis Blues over 2.5 shots on goal at -130. He has hit this number in 4 of his last 5 games. This Blues team has won 5 of their last 6 games. Their star players are playing well, and they are winning games. I expect him to continue his shooting, continue to play the way he is. He's playing with lots of confidence out there on the power plays, and he's leading this Blues team to all of these wins. So look for Jordan Kyrou to have a great game here today, guys. And thanks so much for being with us here on PuckTime. We really appreciate it. Obviously, great to be back with Carm and Buster. Shout out to our producer, Dan. I'm Andrew. We'll see you tomorrow right here on PuckTime.